Hello, welcome back. I'm here with another video lesson for you guys. Um, so we're doing 6.2.1 today. Um, this right here on the screen, this is the page that I would have normally given you guys in class to glue into your notebook. Um, but obviously I'm not able to give it to you. So I posted it on Google Classroom attached to this assignment. If any of you are lucky enough to have a printer at your house. If you don't have a printer at your house, that's totally fine. You can just write down what I write down, basically. So copy down the notes like we would also do in class sometimes. Okay, so let's do it. All right, so make sure you have your notebook out. We're taking notes again today. And then actually also I wanted to tell you, so here, let me give you a little preview as to what we're doing. Okay, so we're doing 6.2.1. We're going to do this front side together. And then for your quote unquote homework afterwards is you're going to have to do these 6 problems right here in your notebook. And then you're going to have to take a picture of it and upload it to Google Classroom so I can grade it. Okay, so just as a forewarning, so make sure you're taking notes and you're paying attention because you will have to take a picture of them and upload them to this assignment. All right, so let's get started. Get your notebook out, get your pencil, get your head in the game, and let's get started. Okay, so as you can see, 6.2.1, go ahead and title at the top of your paper 6.2.1. If you guys didn't notice, I'm trying a new program to do notes on because the program that we normally use in class, I don't know, it made my handwriting really sloppy because it didn't flow as nicely, so it made a lot of mistakes. So I found this other program and we're going to test it out, see how it goes. Okay, 6.2.1 at the top. So we have a warm up here. So go ahead and write down warm up, right? And then write everything you see on the screen. So graph the lines y equals 2x plus 3 and the line y equals negative x minus 3 on the same set of axes. Then go ahead and set up a graph. And then this is the question that we're going to be answering in the end. So pause the video and set up your notes. Or if you're lucky enough to have a printer, then you're chilling. Okay, so let's do it. So we are graphing, let's graph this guy first, this y equals 2x plus 3. So as a reminder, remember, one number is the y-intercept and the other number is the slope. So the number all by itself at the back is always the y-intercept. And then the other number that's attached to the x is the slope. Okay, so let's start with that y-intercept at 3. So I'm going to go ahead and put a point at 3. And then our slope is 2. So that means I'm going to go up 2 over 1, right? So from that point I just made, I'm going to go, here, let me show you. I'm going to go up 2 over 1. And I'm going to put a point right there. Okay, so now what's actually really important is that we carry on plotting our points all the way across the graph. So I'm actually also going to go backwards and make my points going in the other direction too. That's going to be really important for this chapter. So I'm going to continue the points backwards. Sorry, my points are a little ugly. Okay, boom. And then make sure you connect them with a straight line. Look at that. Bam. And then don't forget your arrows. Okay, that was the first line. Second line, I'm gonna use a different color. Let's use red. Okay. Second line, our y-intercept is -3. And then our slope is, it looks like there's an invisible -1 right there. So -1/1 will be our slope. So I'm going to start with that y-intercept, that -3. And then our slope was -1/1. So I'm going to go down 1/1, down 1/1. So let's go down 1/1. Put a point there. And I'm going to go again, down 1/1. And I'm also going to go backwards. I'm going to extend my points all the way to the edge of the graph. Connect my points with a nice straight line. Bam. Put arrows at the end. Done. Okay, so we graphed both lines here. So now let's answer that question. What is their point of intersection? So where do these 2 points intersect? Let me get yellow. Okay, so it looks like right here, that's our point of intersection, right? And what point is that at? That is at, looks like -2, -1. -2, -1. There we go, is the point of intersection. Cool? So this was a review of graphing lines. We're going to need it for this week's stuffs. Okay, ready? Let's do it. Let's move on. So whenever you have, so like this, we had 2 equations right here, right? We had 2 equations. So whenever you have a set of 2 or more equations with the same variables, so both of these equations have an x and a y in it, right? They both have an x and a y in it. So whenever you have a set of 2 or more equations with the same variables, it's called a system of equations. And that's what we're working with in this chapter. Chapter 6 is about systems of equations. So that's the big word of the day, systems of equations. Okay. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be solving systems. So on this last page, when we graphed both lines, there was only one point that they both had in common, and that was that -2, -1, right? This point right here. -2, -1 was the only point they shared that they both have in common. So that's the solution to this system. Okay? So make sure you have this written down. I'm moving on. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to be graphing systems of equations today. Kind of like we just did in the warm-up. So it says the ordered pair -1, -3 is the solution of the system of equations, and here are our 2 equations. Y equals x minus 2 and y equals 3x. The reason -1, -3 is a solution to this system right here is because when -1 is substituted for x and the -3 is substituted for y, both equations are true. So I'll show you what that means. We're going to do it right now. So we're going to test plugging in -1, -3. We're going to plug this point in, -1 for x and -3 for y. We're going to plug it into both equations and make sure that they both come out true. Cool? So go ahead and write this down. Pause the video, write it down, and we'll continue. Okay, so let me get my blue pen. I like to write in blue. Okay, so -1 is our x, and -3 is our y. So that means in both equations, for this x right here, I'm going to replace it with a negative 1, right? And then for this y right here, I'm going to replace it with a negative 3. Okay, so let's do that. So the y is now a negative 3, and the x is now a negative 1, and I'm going to copy down that minus 2. So all I did is I replaced this y with a negative 3, and I replaced the x with a negative 1 because that was the solution, and we're testing it to make sure that it is. I'm showing you why it's the solution. Okay, so let's see. Negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3. So I know that's negative 3. I'm going to copy the rest. Oh, look, it comes out to negative 3. See, it says negative 3 equals negative 3. That's true. Negative 3 does equal negative 3. So when we plugged this point, negative 1, negative 3, when we plugged it into this equation, it came out with a true statement, right? Okay, so let's try it in this one. So let's see, I'm replacing the y with a negative 3. And then we're replacing the x with a negative 1. So 3 times negative 1, right? 3 times x, but we replaced the x with negative 1. So it's 3 times negative 1. Okay, 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. So we have negative 3 equals negative 3. Perfect. That's a true statement. So the reason that this point, negative 1, negative 3, right, this point, negative 1, negative 3, the reason it's a solution to this system is because it makes both equations true. Does that make sense? Okay, so one way that we can solve, so like I told you this answer ahead of time, right? I told you that the answer was negative 1, negative 3, and then we tested to make sure that it was true. But if I just gave you these two equations, could you figure out what the solution is? Could you figure out that negative 1, negative 3 without me telling you it first? So the way that we do that is by graphing both equations. So that's what we're going to do next. So you can also graph both equations to show that negative 1, negative 3 is the solution of the system. So I have a graph set up. So go ahead and set yourself up a graph. And we're going to graph both equations. And I rewrote them right here. Okay, let's do it. So this first one is y equals x minus 2. So that minus 2 is our y-intercept, right? So I'm going to plot that guy first. And then our slope is the number in front of the x. Now there's no number there, so that I know that means it's an invisible 1, right? So that means my slope is up 1 over 1. Up 1, over 1. Let me fix that. Up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. And I'm going to continue it in both directions all the way to the edge of the graph. And then I will use a straight edge or a ruler to draw a nice straight line. Put my arrows at the end. Done. Okay, so that's the first line. So I graphed the first equation in the system, and now I'm going to graph the second one. Let me change my color. Let's use purple. Okay, so here's the second equation. Y equals 3x. Now notice that there's no number at the back. That means that the y-intercept, that starting value, is going to be 0. If there's no number, then we start at 0. And then our slope is that 3 right there. So I'm going to go up 3 over 1. So up 3 over 1 right there. See? I started at 0, up 3 over 1. And then if I try to go again, I'll go off the graph. So I'm going to go in the other direction. 3 over 1. And then 3, I go off the graph. Okay. Make a nice straight line. Boom. Arrows. Okay. So we graphed both equations, and it looks like our solution, let me get my yellow, our solution is right there. And what point is that at? What is the point of intersection? -1, -3. -1, -3. So that's what we said originally, right? On the previous page, I told you that that was going to be the solution. And when we graphed both lines, that's where they intersected. So that's why -1, -3 is the solution to the system. So since -1, -3 is a solution of each equation, it is the solution of the system of equations. So that's what we're doing this week, is we're trying to find the solution to the system by graphing both equations. Cool? So now let's go back and look at that page. So we did this box, the warm-up. We looked at the definition of a system of equations. We tested the point in both equations. And then we graphed both equations and we got that solution -1, -3. So now on your own, you're going to have to graph all 6 of these problems to find the solution for each one. If you want, I will do this first one with you, but then you have to do the other 5 on your own. Okay? So let's do that first problem, this guy right here. We're going to do this one together, and then you have to do the rest on your own, take a picture of it, and upload it to Google Classroom. Cool? So let's do this last one. Okay. So we are going to graph this system. So I have these 2 equations. That makes a system, right? When you have 2 or more equations, it makes a system. We're going to graph both of these equations to find the solution to this system. So let's do this. Let me get my blue. Okay. So this first guy, y-intercept is 3. Put that guy right there at 3. My slope is -5/3. So that means down 5/3. Down 5/3. Down 5/3, right? So I'm going to go back to my point right here. I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and over 1, 2, 3. And then can I go again? Down 1, 2, 3, oh no, 4, 5. We go off the graph. Okay, let me connect those 2. Oh, uh-oh, that was a bad line. Oh, that was ugly. What happened to my line? Come on, you can do this. There we go. Good enough. Okay. Arrows. Boom. First line done. Second line. Let's do it in green. Okay. Second line. -3 is our y-intercept. So I'm going to put my first point at -3. And then 1/3 is the slope. And it's a positive 1/3. So that means up 1/3. Up 1/3. So let's do that. Up 1/3. Ooh, bam. And then up 1/3. Oh, it goes off the graph. So I'm going to go the opposite direction. Okay, and then I'm going to make my nice straight line, hopefully. Bam. Arrows. All right. So we graphed both equations in the system, right? We graphed them both, and now I'm looking for that point of intersection. Let me get my yellow. Right there. So what is the solution? What point is that? That looks like it's 3, -2. 3, -2 is our solution. All right. Guys, you got to do the other 5 on your own. So complete the rest in your notebook or on a separate piece of paper, whatever you have, and then take a picture of it, and you're going to upload it to Google Classroom. If you don't know how to upload a picture to Google Classroom, I attached a video to this assignment to show you how to upload a picture. Cool? So you have this Edpuzzle. You have this resource page, right? That when you would normally go into your notebook, that's attached on the assignment. And then I'm also attaching a video to show you how to take pictures and upload your work. Cool? All right. That's it. Good job. Job well done. And I'll see you next time. Bye.